shellacking, battering the Bears.
Come on! Oh, God.
No! 9 to noon.
Just listen.
A happy Thursday to you. 9 to noon is in the air. 9 segments until we fade to black. Then hit Buffalo Wild Wings Lakeville tomorrow for the Friday football feast. Now, as we've stated many times around here, Chicago Bears play-by-play voice Jeff Joniak is one of our very favorites for many reasons around the league. His radio calls are fantastic.
Giants need the Bears 44 to keep this thing alive. It is 4th down and 10. 4 defensive backs umbrellaed back, and the line of scrimmage loaded with black and blue Bears ready to deliver some heat. Snap back, everybody's coming. Russell in the pocket, pass is thrown, it is tipped, incomplete. He got a tip. All the pressure got to him. Bears take over. It is 4th down and out. 38 seconds to go, and the Bears are going to come away with a win here in Chicago. They have it right now at 24-20.
Fox.
This is Jeff's 25th year calling Bears games on the radio, and he joins us now. Hey, what's going on there, Double J? Good to hear from you.
What's going on, PA? Always good. I'll be looking forward to shaking your hand on Sunday.
Likewise. Now, in a story I read commemorating your quarter century calling Bears games, there are many things that I took out of it and really liked. I love how you said you get excited to call every game, no matter the situation, because that's just so true when you realize people make the conscious choice to listen to the games on the radio, and you're a big part of it. And we serve the listeners with what we do, not the other way around, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's the biggest adrenaline rush I've ever experienced in my life, short of my daughter's being born. And I think you can embrace that as well. And I say it often, especially in football towns all across this country. And I think it's true pretty much for all 32 cities or 31 cities or 30 cities, I guess, with LA and New York. But you have to have genuine organic passion on Sundays, and you have to meet and surpass that passion of the fan base. And when I meet with Bears fans, and I'm not trying to be anything other than factual here, I do it for them. I always talk about that one-on-one on the radio, where you're in your car or you're home, and you got a bunch of other things going on, screaming kids in the back seat, and you want to turn that dial just a bit more to listen to Tom and I on the radio and any of the other 31 play-by-play guys. That's where the love is, and there's an attachment there. It's a very intimate medium, and I don't take it lightly. I am humbled by it, and I embrace it.
And you've called a Super Bowl, but we also have called some really bad seasons, 3-win seasons and stuff for the Vikings and or the Bears over a long period of time. And when you say that you get excited for it, no matter the situation, that completely resonates with me, because the preparation into the game is so stimulating, wondering what's going to transpire with this real life violent sporting activity happening in front of us. And even if your squad man's like 3-11, 3-12 or whatever, yet like Tyreek Stevenson gets in for a pick six, well, you want to share it's the second of his career, which is born of game calling depth chart work that you've put into it. So nevertheless, if they're bad or if they're good, the work still is required for those listening.
Oh, yeah. People tell me all the time, especially because we've had some really lean seasons, as you might say, God, what do you prepare the same, or do you, it'd be like anybody. You do your job. You got to do your job at a high level. It's not because of the magnitude of the moment, because you're playing a big game for first place in the NFC North or something like that, or bigger yet, a Super Bowl. I got to do it the same way I've always done it, and I'm very fortunate to have this position. And I am not going to alter my preparation anyway from the first time I started this process until the last day they have me on the radio. So it's just being, you know what that's called? It's called being a pro.
Right.
Got to be a pro.
Yeah, I really enjoy, preparing the game calling depth chart for the other team. So it'd be the Bears here. So I got done with 3/4 of the Bears offense last night. And I've written this down before. Caleb Williams, 2-USC, first overall pick, 2024, 13 TDs, 4 interceptions. But then you get to the things that just fascinate me with the story of the Bears through 9 games. All right, Caleb has 14 sacks. He had 68 last year. He's run in 3 touchdowns the first 3 of his career. He had 0 last year. Oh, by the way, a receiving touchdown of 2 yards from DJ Moore at Cincinnati, and he's on pace to become the first Bear in the history of this storied organization to throw for more than 4,000 yards. And then you share that and convey it with the audience, but it's just fascinating looking at what is happening with Caleb Williams, with much more to come, obviously, through 9 with the new coach, right?
Oh, yeah. He's already got the 5th most passing yards in Bears history through the first 9 games of the season, which I know everyone's hung up on that 4K thing. I don't care so much about the 4K. I know it's a crazy anomaly given that we are a passing league and have been for many, many, many years. But we've also had a revolving door of quarterbacks that have never taken root and plenty of offensive coordinators and systems that have also gone in and out of the door. So I like where he's at. And this has been the Ben Johnson project of projects, told us every step of the way how it was going to be. And it's all been the way he's described it. And every week it's getting better. Last week was crazy. I mean, the feet and the weave and the bob and the back and the forward and the sideways and the spin, getting away from pressures. And it has no impact on what the offensive line has not been doing because the offensive line has been very good, in my opinion. It's just the process of seeing the field and getting better at that in every down and distance possible and what you're reading. And so that's developing. But his feet have always been dangerous. He's just doing it a lot more right now. And I'm glad he's taking off and running a time or two because that, if you get 4, 5, 6 first downs with your feet as a quarterback, it puts the defense in a different process. And Not Minnesota, because they're coming at you no matter what. Although it is interesting to me that they didn't do that in week 1. So I don't know what I'm bracing for from B-Flow, but he is great at what he does.
This is Jeff Joniak, quarter-century play-by-play radio voice for the Chicago Bears.
Fox.
Vikings and Bears noon, KFAN this weekend. I'm going to call it the Ben Johnson impact, and I'd like you to add to it from maybe the nuance of what I'm missing. We mentioned Ben Johnson impact. Caleb sacks are way down from last year. Odunze has taken off. DJ Moore throws touchdowns, and the running game's at 185 per the last 5. I'm sure there's more, man, but that's a pretty good start.
No, it is. And, by and large, Ben Johnson just loves running the football. I know when he got here, everybody's thinking it's going to be one trick play after the next and airing it out. But you look at the math that he had in Detroit and where he's come from, he loves running the football. And he loves running the football in the red zone. And so that has been really the basis of how this is now starting to pop. And it's that play-action passing game, which he is also very big on. It's the 2 tight end sets. And the blocking. I know you've watched tape of this. The blocking by everybody. I mean, the tight ends, the backs, the wide receivers has been fantastic. The offensive line is cohesive for the first time in a long time. I mean, this will be the 6th consecutive game this unit has played together, and that eclipsed all of the last 3 years combined in any 5 guys that have been able to play without leaving the game or starting. So just put on the tape and watch Darnell Wright. He's punishing people. The 3 interior guys have now really created a nice pocket for Caleb to do his work. So there's a lot there, and Ben's really creative, obviously. And I'm not calling them trick plays anymore because I think that's an insult. And tell me if you agree with it. I'm calling them designer plays.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're shopping at a designer store for your best material, and he's These are designer plays at moments in time that set up something else or create something that you're going to see in the fourth quarter if it's done in the first quarter. And it involves everybody, keeps everybody involved. He had Tyson Bagent catch a pass and then throw a pass to Caleb a couple weeks ago. He had Cole Kmet whipping a spiral with his left-handed throw that was unfortunately dropped by Roma Dunze. But in practice, he'd been talking about him throwing it for 60 yards, and it caught his eye. He started getting to work on something, you know. I don't know. It's fun. It's fun for the players. It keeps them engaged, in my opinion, but they're not just trick plays. I call them designer plays.
I like that. They're gadgets, but the word gadget, you know, is not frequently used. Right. I like the designer aspect of it. But the last thing you said, you know, from watching Vikings practices for so many years, and Jefferson threw a pass to McCarthy last game. And if there's one, if the right block of three is made, he might get to the end zone. Well, that keeps them, I don't want to say keeps them engaged, but like when they're working on that stuff in practice, they're always hooting and hollering and
right.
All the receivers think they can throw. You know, so when they get the opportunity, it keeps things loose. That's a very good point.
You know what the other thing is? The running game, and you know, over the years, you've had the pleasure of calling some great running backs, not the least of whom Adrian Peterson was a punisher. But there was a run last week on 4th and 1, DeAndre Swift lowered his right shoulder, knocked back, bounced off the two guys trying to bring him down, and raced for the first down. Wasn't a huge gain. It was, you know, double digits. But the reaction from the bench, if you slow down the tape and watch, and it wasn't just offensive players. It was Tremaine Edmonds. It was Tyson Bagent ripping his protective jacket off from the cold and just going crazy for that play. Those types of plays have been happening routinely now for the Bears, and I think it's the mindset that they want to play with, be a physical, violent football team in all three phases, and it's starting to look like that.
Veteran DB C.J. Gardner-Johnson, 2 games, 3 sacks. What exactly is happening there? Are you kidding me?
Have you ever met this man?
No.
Oh my gosh! You know, I couldn't stand him as an opponent. There was a game years ago. Javon Wims came up. He was getting ear hustled all game by C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and he comes off the bench and sucker punches him. And it's the first time, and I know you're very, you say it like it is. Like, there's no question about it. I'm more managed in that regard, but that's the first time I ever ripped a player on my team. And it was Javon for coming off the bench and being selfish in that moment, the sucker punch CJ. But he gets under people's skin, and he's always been that player. And even last week, or a couple weeks ago against the Bengals, Voshavas of the Bengals, number 80, every time he caught the pass or ran a route, this guy was in his ear. But it was not over the top, but you could tell because he kept turning to look at him. So now you got him. You got him on the hook. And that's when CJ brings you in and gets you all thinking about things other than your assignment or whatever. But he's a hell of a blitzer. He is he's on the ball, man. He had 12 interception sandwich between 2 trips with the Eagles.
Yeah.
So this is not just a loud and cocky player back there in the secondary. This is a football player, and he is aggressive. He's physical. He's an outstanding blitzer, and he's always around the football in some form or fashion. So I'm enjoying him at the moment.
Last 1 minute and change. You get it all. Jeff Joniak, play-by-play voice for the Chicago Bears. Is there, in the 3 losses, all right, winless in the division, then you lost to Baltimore with Hundley. Is there a common thread in the losses to the Vikings, Lions, and Ravens? Like, when Chicago gets a bit sideways, what is happening?
Well, the first 2, they're a different team from the first 2. And starting in the division, this division is so great. That's a tall order, and I'm going to be bracing for this final 8 games of the season. But learning how to win. And Antoine Randall-Ellis had a big impact on this team in the motivational aspect of things. He's an assistant head coach, came from Detroit with him. He's a Chicago guy, grew up a big Bears fan, and it's gone from hope to knowing, and they are believing, and that is a big part of their messaging. And no team that I've been around has needed it more. These 25 years have been so much change, so many issues, so many problems that the guys who have been here a while needed somebody to believe in them, and therefore then to believe that what they're doing is going to become a net result of positivity. And I really believe that's the bigger picture more than any X's and O's, is that, oh my gosh, when things go south, don't tell me it's happening again.
Right.
Now we got some guys and some dogs on the team on both sides of the ball that say, hey, follow me. And that has not been the case in a while.
Pete and I will come up to the booth on Sunday, say hi to you and Tommy.
Please do.
And God bless you and your family, man, and I'll see you this weekend.
Same. Thanks for having me on. We're looking forward to seeing you.
See you, bud. Jeff Joniak, play-by-play voice for the Chicago Bears, quarter century into it. Covenant claps for Jeff Joniak. He's quite elite at what he does, and one of my better friends, as play-by-play voices go in the National Football League. Friendship aside, it's still this.
Fall down.
Chicago Bear. Ha, ha, ha. It's time to get beat. Ba-da-da-da-da. 9:16, John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, joins around the corner. We have a head coaching covenant today, 9 to noon. Hynesy, about 5 minutes from now. And at 10:35, Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, joins us. Between them, Nacho Lieber at 10. Nordo produces. I'm Paul Allen. Got that cash thing for you right now. Good morning.
The Fan and Two Men in a Junk Truck want to give you a chance to put some bonus bucks in your pocket, National Cash Contest style. The keyword is cash. Use the keyword cash by entering it at KFAN.com. Might win some cash with the keyword cash at KFAN.com. Wow.
It's time to drop the puck.
Let's play hockey!
No puck talk.
Brady closed on by Zuccarello. So he played it to Dickinson. Zuccarello ended up in a heap. Sharks fired along. Celebrini with Graf going in front of the net. Macklin Celebrini threw one that way, and they score. Colin Graf, stick handle past Gustafson. Tuck Toma backhander. And the Sharks, for the second time in the season series, win in overtime at Grand Casino Arena. They've won 4 in a row for the first time since the 21-22 season. They rally in the third, and they beat the Wild in sudden death overtime 2-1 the final.
Some hot sporting activity, some hot sporting action includes the Minnesota Wild this weekend. We have a little respite right now with the pro sports teams. Vikings don't play until Sunday at noon, division collision against the Chicago Bears at noon, pregame with Muss at 10 a.m. The game's at U.S. Bank Stadium. The Minnesota Wild don't play until Saturday when they hook the Anaheimers. And then after the Anaheimers at Grand Casino Arena, they get the rough and tumble Vegas Golden Knights at home the next day on a back-to-back. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they haven't played in a couple of days, and they get the Sacramento Kings Friday night at Target Center. Then Joker guy with Jamal Murray and David Adelman's Denver Nuggets at Target Center the next day. So back-to-back for Finchy, second time this season against the Denver Nuggets. The first back-to-back involved travel. This one does not, but nevertheless, very, very tough team to hook on a back-to-back. Finchy, Chris Finch, coach of the Wolves, joins about 10:35. But the first head coach to join on the head coaching carousel, one of our favorites, John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
DA, how you doing, my man? I'm doing well.
All right, my brother. Good start to November, don't you think? 6 games, 2 points in 4 of them, and 1 against a spry, improved San Jose team, and pretty good start to November. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's 4-1-1 in the month, and I think starting to get more consistency to our game, and so it's been good. I like the direction that we're heading, and we got to keep pushing forward here.
What has been good with the team overall since the return of Zuccarello?
Well, I think it's allowed us to put some combinations together that I think really fit. When we started the year with Zuki out and then Sturm out, we were trying some different things, whether it be some young guys or different combinations, and none of it seemed to hit as well as you'd like it to. But I think when Zuki's come back, it's allowed us to put Johansson with Ekin-Boldy, which has been a strong line. You have good chemistry with Rossi, Zuccarello, and Kaprizov. And then it slots down Tarasenko, with Hartman and Hinostroza, which has some dynamics on that line. And then I think you're off Trennan and Foligno to have those guys together has been good. So I think it slots our combinations and our four lines with more identity on each line.
You're the only regulation loss this month so far was at Carolina, and I thought you guys played them tough down to the wire. I mean, they throw haymakers and you'd come back with uppercuts. I know you lose 4-3, but do you sense things are crescendoing quite well for the gang? Or is there still, we're about 20% into this thing. Is there still a lot of improvement to be had?
Yeah, I think over the course of the season, you always have to continue to improve and evolve individual games and your team game. But I do think that there's more components to our game that are more consistent and give us the best chance to win, whether it's the style of game, how we play, the commitment level, like I said, even just a little bit more depth and strong combinations, particularly up front. I think all those things are continuing to get better, and we got to continue to build.
Hey, Coach, with your goalies, what's different with the way Wallstedt and Gustafson play? And I know you like them both, but in what ways are they different?
Well, I think Gus is he's a cerebral. I think he's a real cerebral goalie. Reads the play well. I think he's good. On like some east-west plays, I think he can anticipate and read and make good saves in that. I think he's gotten better in our time with him. I just think his competitiveness, fighting through screens and tips and those rebound goal mouth scrums have been improved. And Wally's a little bit of a bigger guy where he's takes up more of the net, and I think he kind of squares up. And with him in the net, there's not a lot of net to shoot at. What I liked about him as well is I think that he's done a better job. I think even learning at this level, just the intent, that the higher level of shooting than there is in the American League. So I think he's on position similar to Gus. His positioning has gotten better, and then I think he's done a really good job of fighting through traffic with the bigger bodies and how guys want to swing pucks to the net and looking for those tipped rebound things. I think he's been pretty square, and he uses his size to his advantage. With
half a week between San Jose and Anaheim and no travel, what are you guys able to work on while catching your collective breath?
Yeah, it's a multitude of things. Part of it is physical and mental recovery and freshness. It allows you to have some practice time. I'll have a good one tomorrow. It gives you also time to meet with more players. Like you can meet one-on-one, you can meet with some line meetings, you can touch up some things. So it's a multitude of things. It's not just practice time. Practice is a big part of it, but also I think guys getting a little bit of recovery time mentally and physically, and then it also allows us, a little bit more time to you're not so much preparing for the next game all the time, and guys have a little bit more time around where you can do some meetings, which I think help as well, whether that's line meetings or individual meetings.
John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild.
Well, puck talk.
What are some facets that play into how you, as the head coach, John, would describe your team's identity?
Well, I think when we play a fast game and a direct game, when we make strong plays coming out of our own end, when we play fast through the neutral zone and we can get into an attack mindset, if we have opportunities to attack off the rush because we've transitioned the puck quick and they're in an unorganized defense, then we can attack in those areas. But also when the other team's done their job and they're in good position, that, we get a strong forecheck and we're into the offensive zone and we can lean on teams. I think when we play that style of game, that gives us the best chance to win.
The power play is top four, almost a quarter of the way into the season. You got one the other night against San Jose. I mean, that patience play by Zuki before he hit Boldy was beautiful. What's consistently good with the power play, keeping it upper echelon?
I would say it's been 2 units. This year, we've had contributions from both units. If Boldy and Kaprizov's unit doesn't score, we've had the other unit score. So I think when you have contributions from both units, I think it breeds a little bit of internal competition. But I think also you need 2 units to score, and that's what's helped. Was when one hasn't, we've been able to get another one that has.
And conversely, the penalty kill, fifth from the bottom, and we've talked about it before, but are you still looking for them to be more attack conscious in that department?
Yeah, I think sometimes when you get into, it was a little bit leaky early in the year, but I would say the last 4 or 5 games, I think the San Jose game, we gave up a goal. I think it was the first one in 4 games,
right?
And it was a good play by them. I would say that, yes, it's fifth from the bottom, but I also think you have to look at it in segments, in 5 and 10 game segments.
Right.
Because you could have a bad stretch and it might sink you for a while statistically, but I think you need to look at where is it at in the last 5 games, 10 games, and where is it moving forward. I think it's been very good as of late.
Quite fair.
Time for 2 more.
John, what are some parts of Kirill Kaprizov's game that are very good but maybe go unnoticed to the casual fan or maybe the untrained eye?
Well, I think Kirill cares about. I think he's a tremendous competitor. I think lots of times you see the offensive flair from him, which I think catches everybody's eye. But I would just say the consistency of competitiveness that he has, and I think the other thing too is his willingness to play the right way without the puck. He's a guy, he doesn't hope and wait for offense. I think if the puck's turned over in the offensive zone, he's gonna track back and help the defense with the rush coverage. When he gets into the defensive zone coverage, he cares about keeping the puck out of his net. And I think sometimes when you look at these high-end skill players, it is the offensive flair that you see, but it's also the kind of the mundane things, the thankless jobs in the game that you don't recognize shift in and shift out that he's willing to do.
Love that. Lastly here, Coach Hynes, Anaheim and Vegas are here Saturday and Sunday. The Islanders win second half of that back-to-back with travel. That was impressive. Quite dominating too. Are there things you have to do as a coach? The first part of a back-to-back to make sure they have enough in the tank for the second part?
Yes, I think when it kind of goes back to your first question with Zuki is I think right now when you feel like you have 4 lines and 6 defensemen that are all contributing and playing at a strong level, it allows you to divvy up the ice time a little bit where you don't have to overextend guys in certain situations in the first game. Which I think allows you to have some energy in the second game, which we had in New York. And then I also think, on the second half of a back-to-back, playing smart. You hear it all the time in sports is don't beat yourself, and whether that's taking care of the puck or penalty discipline or line changes and shift lengths, just those little small things that you could say the same thing for say in football, right?
Yeah.
In the penalty game. Take care of the football, whatever it might be. I think it really comes into play every game, but particularly in the second half of a back-to-back when you may be playing a little bit tired. Now you got to play really smart.
Brilliant. Tear it up, beat them both this weekend, and we'll call you next week. All right.
All right, PA. Take care, man.
Yep. See you, bud. John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, weekly 9 to noon. Harrison Smith, beloved hitman, is playing his 200th regular season game this weekend. We're going to celebrate the career that has been Harrison Smith around the corner via sound and thought. And then we're going to bring in former Viking safety Anthony Harris, a former teammate with Harry the Hitman, and chat about that and more with Anthony Harris. That's around the corner. It's 9 to noon on KFAN. Vikes Bites provided by
Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed beef. You can shop online. A box of meat shows up at your doorstep. It's regenerative agriculture. It's nutrient-dense beef. It's delicious. I've smoked. I've grilled it. It's awesome. And you can get it at Coburn's and Kowalski's spots. And they're proud sponsors of Gophers Athletics as well. So thank you, Thousand Hills. And Vikes Bite style, I mean, the team's, it's team limited. We're worried about the bandage on the QB's hand. Ryan Kelly's practice window opens up. All kinds of things going on this week. And plenty of time to cover it all. But really, I think we have to spend at least a few minutes before our next guest joins to just appreciate a rookie campaign and a career that started in 2012.
14-7 Vikings. Adrian Peterson with a rushing touchdown and Percy Harvin with a receiving touchdown. Two receivers right, Andre Roberts left, opposite Chris Cook. On third down from the 24, John Skelton's out of the shotgun. Larod Stevens howling to his left, takes the snap. Skelton, three-step drop, steps away from the pressure, runs up the middle, fires, intercepted! And it's picked off by Harrison Smith. The rookie comes to the right side, inside the 20 to the 15, leap through the end zone, touchdown! Harrison Smith's first National Football League interception results in a touchdown. It's 27 Minnesota.
I mean, that was week 7, and just 7 weeks later, he's doing it again, PA.
Marshall slot right, opposite Antoine
Against
Winfield.
them Bears.
Down. Vikes lead 14-7. Now Marshall motions to the lefty slot left, Cutler shotgun. Vikings rush forward. Jay back to pass, fires over the middle. Intercepted by Harrison Smith. Here comes the rookie to the 40. Sprints down the sidelines, 30, 20. He's to the 10, angles left. Touchdown! Harrison Smith's second defensive touchdown this year gives the Vikings a 20-7 lead.
I mean, that was just his rookie year, PA. We thought he'd have 100 of those things, it felt like. But the 29th overall selection, making a name for himself in 2012. He'd also have defensive touchdowns both week 1 against the Rams in 2014. Norv! In that offense, 2014, the year that was. He also had another one, his fourth of his career, in 2015 in a late primetime affair at the College Stadium, a beatdown of the New York Giants and Eli Manning. 4 defensive TDs. Sadly, it's been a decade since the last one, but there's still time. 20 and a half sacks in his career, PA. Just a couple years ago, he hit the trifecta.
Here they come, 4th and goal from the 18, empty backfield, 3 receivers left, 2 right. 21-13 Minnesota, Bryce Young between the hash marks, takes the Bozeman snap, 4-man rush, he's hit, and he's sacked! He is hit and sacked and taken down by the player of the game, Harrison Smith, with his 3rd sack this game.
That was his first game with 3 sacks, first game with 2 as well prior to that. He has a sack in a full sack in 17 games in his career. The team's 14-3 when the Hitman has a sack, by the way. But we'll spend more time on this, whether it's with AntHarris around the corner. Of course, eventually, as time maybe will force us into a grander Hitman conversation. But 37 career picks, 4 seasons with at least 5, 84 tackles or more in 10 of his 14 seasons, 13 forced fumbles, 10 fumble recoveries, 99 passes defense. Let's get to the century mark this weekend. A freaking bleep load of hits, hence the nickname. Other than missing half of 2013, his second year in the season, he's never missed more than 3 games in any other season. And as he passes Ron Yeri now this weekend in games played, only Jim Marshall at 270, Mick Tingelhoff at 240, Fred Cox at 210, Carl Eller at 209, and Scott Studwell at 201. Those are the only guys that have played more games in purple than Harrison Smith. If he makes all the dances this year, he'll finish the season at 207. Hitman has left, why don't we say, indelible marks on this purple and gold franchise.
He is Minnesota Vikings immortality. He has some HOF to him, no doubt about it. 200th regular season game taking place this Sunday at noon at U.S. Bank Stadium against the Chicago Bears. And we aim to chat with some of Hitman's former teammates over the next couple of days. One around the corner now. tomorrow at Buffalo Wild Wings Lakeville. Chad Greenway, a longtime teammate with Harry the Hitman. He'll be joining 9 to noon in his regular spot. Second segment, chat about Harrison Smith. And we also are looking to hook up with Andrew Sendejo tomorrow, one of Harrison's best friends, to talk about his career. But let's begin all that with Anthony Harris, undrafted from Virginia. Anthony played 6 seasons with the Vikings and overall 104 games in the NFL. In 2019, Anthony Harris tied for the league lead in interceptions with 6, and 41 joins us now. Great seeing you in the booth Sunday. How are things, Anthony?
I'm doing well, man. It's good to see you too as well. It's always good to, see people out in Minnesota.
You've been around the team a fair amount this year. And maybe I've missed it over the last few years, just didn't see you, but especially at training camp. What would your safety role be, Anthony, in this Brian Flores defense?
Oh man, I look at it. I try to look now and see, like, kind of, over the years where I've played and kind of how I've assisted and where things possibly could have be this season or in the few years that just passed. But I see myself as a guy just kind of back there directing traffic, making sure we're in the right coverages, overlapping, side to side in the field, and also, dropping down onto slots and in the middle of the defense a little bit. But mainly just like previous years, playing off of Harry in terms of different disguises, having me down sometimes and him rotating back. So a lot of just versatility between the two and assisting with the communication. I
should have had this down in front of me, so I apologize if I make a mistake here. 2022, when you finished your career with the Denver Broncos, was Vic Fangio part of that mix?
Actually, not with the Broncos. In that season, I returned to, Philly. But at that point, he was no longer with the Broncos. Okay,
because when you hear about, Flores' defensive style, you frequently hear like Steve Spagnuolo and Vic Fangio and everything. And, Harrison Smith could pretty much morph into any form of defense and be good. He's playing in his 200th regular season game Sunday against the Bears. When Anthony came into the league out of Virginia in 2015, Harrison was entering his 4th year. What was he like as a teammate for you, Anthony?
Initially he was kind of quiet. Didn't say a lot. He was the guy that was just, working on the field, communicating defensively. He was fairly social in the locker room with the guys. I remember being, as a rookie coming in, having to do the little rookie duties and go through that process. And he was a guy who was supportive. We'd have to do little runs and grab food and stuff. And, you being a rookie coming in, you're new to the city. He was extremely, helpful and considerate. If I had transportation to go pick up the food before we got on the plane and different things of that sort. So he was a guy that definitely took part in the traditions of, guys kind of carving out their role and doing the different things that guys went through over the season. But slowly, he started to open up more and give me little insights after I made a play or after I was in getting reps on defense about things that I could do better. And so over the years, our relationship just evolved in talking about the game and spending time together watching football.
Well, of your 8 years and 104 games, you played 6 seasons on defense with him. And I'm glad you went down the road, that you did after, the longer you got in the league. I mean, you started, I think, 5 games, maybe 8 games your first 3 seasons. Then in 2018, you start 9, then 14 and 16 in your final 2 years for the Vikings. So it, as an undrafted guy, you're not the first to have it, kind of go along slowly. But once it started to click, what can you say, like early in your career when you and Harrison started to become comfortable with each other? When it comes to preparing for games, like where could he help you or others preparing for games?
Man, as we started to kind of build that relationship and get more time playing together, we'd often find ourselves in a text thread, sending different clips that we'd see on the iPad, discussing, how that play might play out or how we might actually see it and just being on the same page. And so from the safety position, you kind of have to see both sides of the field, be aware of a receiver on the other side that could possibly come into your zone in terms of coverage. So me and him discussed that a lot. Hey, on this play, what do you see? How would you react in this play? And so that would kind of give you an idea on, how you can play or manipulate the quarterback in terms of disguises, whether pre-snap or either on the move. And so we did that a bunch. I remember facing Green Bay, we would talk about some of the routes that they had. And the one thing that me and him came up with was, in this situation, it's really 2 versus 1. Aaron Rodgers, he can only see one of us at a time. And so, if he sees you, he doesn't see me and vice versa. So regardless of, kind of what happens on this play, he can't be right because, the other guy, when he's not watching, will make up the space and overlap.
Anthony, listening to you describe that the way you did, you've only been out of the game 3 years. I mean, your last year was 2022. You miss the game, don't you? I mean, I can tell that you miss conversations like that, don't you?
Yeah, that's something I kind of do now a little bit in my spare time, whether I'm just, talking to current players, talking to coaches, often, attending a lot of games or either watching them on TV, but really just the schematic part of the game, from front to back, secondary down to the defensive line and then vice versa on the offensive side of the ball and special teams as well. So that was one thing that, Harry really appreciates and me and him was really able to bond over, was really just talking about the game from overall perspective, not just pertaining personally to, our position, but really just falling in love with the art of it in itself.
Anthony, how much, think about this, all right? Anthony came in 2015, left in 2022. How much did playing defensive back change from your rookie year of 2015 to when you left in 2022? And I guess I'd be talking about rules, but just overall.
Well, I think, it's kind of evolved over the years like it's done, prior to me even coming into the league. You saw bigger players, safeties not having to be quite as rangy possibly. But now, you look and you see a number of guys, kind of playing in the deep half. There's a lot of versatility. And particularly with Flores schemes, the safeties are asked to do a lot. You're down in the line of scrimmage. You're back deep center field. You're playing deep halves. You're rotating on safeties and so on slot receivers. And so there's a lot of versatility. I'm extremely, amazed at what Harris continued to be able to do prior to me coming into the league. And then with our time together, even to now, just how he showed up, taking care of his body, put in the work to, embrace all the different schemes he's had to play over his career. And then just going out, having fun and making plays still and staying healthy is a contribute to who he is as a player and who he is as a person.
And regarding Harrison Smith, Harry the Hitman, the reason I set that question up that way, Anthony, is there seemed to be a time Hitman had to pull back on the hitting portion of the equation due to fines with hits that for years were permissible. So did he and other DBs have to change playing style due to rules changes?
I mean, I think there's always going to be an adjustment, when there's rule changes. Things now, particular hits that you probably, be more aggressive, more assertive in situations. You kind of have to be more conscious. Thinking about Harry specifically, he's been able to get after the quarterback a ton over his career in terms of, getting sacks and forcing fumbles and those things. And now, there's a bit of approach to, him actually stepping into the pass rusher realm, much like a defensive end is, if he's going after the quarterback, making sure that, he isn't falling and putting too much weight on the quarterback so he won't get a penalty in that sense, or even just attacking the ball over the years, seeing guys go up for passes and kind of get hit in the air and defenders attacking them more aggressively. It's kind of deteriorated a bit, just due to, the potential to get a flag in certain situations. So you never want to penalize your team, but I have to imagine for a guy who's played as long as he has, it's a bit of an adjustment, but, he's been able to do it pretty well. And the game has evolved in that sense of the physicality of falling on the quarterbacks, and then some of the rules in terms of, maybe targeting or leading with the helmet are called more often.
Time for two more.
The Vikings get the Bears this weekend here. What Bears quarterback Caleb Williams? What do you think of Caleb Williams?
Well, I know he has a lot of mobility. I've watched him a couple of games now. He can extend plays. Has an arm where you can throw in a number of different angles. I think Ben Johnson has been trying to do a good job of settling him in and getting him in more to the scheme, and a little bit less of kind of like off timing and off script plays. But that's part of his game that makes him explosive. And so I see him trying to just settle in and rely more on his actual team and the play design than his own ability. But he has great arm talent and he can move.
Last one, Anthony had some memorable games against the New Orleans Saints, and in those games, sometimes it included stuff like this.
Kamara in the backfield. Breeze on third down. Straight drop. It's a deep shot. He's looking for Ted Ginn. Intercepted. Yes, it is. Anthony Harris gets up and runs at the 25 to the far side 40. Harris to the 50. Well done. That's the 7th interception this season for Anthony Harris. And there are no flags on the play. 2:03 to go in the first half, and Harris just turned over Breeze.
6 in the regular season, 1 in that playoff game. How memorable were games against the Saints for you? Because we have the Minneapolis Miracle after the 2017. Then, as we just heard there, you picked off Drew Brees in that playoff game down there after the 2019 season. Those games were memorable against the Saints, right?
Yeah, man, those were very physical games. Going against another good coach, Sean Payton, and his offensive mind. And that was a roster filled with a lot of talent. So those games, we knew they were going to be physical. There was going to be a lot of mental games played as well, with having Drew Brees at quarterback. And so those games were extremely fun, extremely competitive, and a lot of guys made a lot of plays, and we had a lot of fun doing it.
It's been great seeing you as many times as I have since training camp. Saw Mistrell Raymond this weekend, Xavier Rhodes a few home games ago. So it's great that you guys stay involved via the alumni. And next time you're in town, man, stop by the studio. Let's mix it up for a couple of segments, all right?
All right, let's do it.
See you, bud.
See you.
Anthony Harris, former safety for the Minnesota Vikings, but also a teammate for several years with Harrison Smith, who's playing his 200th regular season game this weekend. Somebody who's quite close with Harry the Hitman is our next guest, Ben Lieber, sideline analyst for the Vikings Audio Network. It's nacho time around the corner on KFAN.